right. Hello, everybody. How is your weekend going? Really great to see you. Welcome to your weekly collective. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This little furry creature here is Apollo, and we're both pleased to have you with us. Thank you for giving me a couple minutes to get set up and to wake up just like this little guy. I'm going to put him down so we can begin. My name is Nicholas, as I said. We're going to be looking at the next 7 days of your life to help you make some of the best decisions possible and really prepare for all of the opportunities in front of you. Let me just set up my monitor here, and then we're going to light the candles together. So give me one moment, and we'll get started. All right, good. That way I can make sure that you can see me as we're talking. So if you're brand new, this is how the forecast works. We're going to begin, first of all, with a quick benediction to light all the candles. Then we'll look at channeled messages, which basically are all the messages that came through from Spirit as I was getting everything ready this morning. And then we'll take a look at the 7 days from this Sunday to next Sunday. And then we move through all of these different sections, which help us kind of get a feel for the week. There is blessings and blocks, which is really nicely tied into today's topic that you chose, which is I firmly believe that there are no blocks. They're either the universe kind of like redirecting us. There can be something that feels like rejection but is protection. So we're going to be focusing on identifying where these blocks might be in your life and finding a way to release them. Okay, so this is going to be a very powerful weekly collective. They all are, but I think this one in particular, especially since it's happening during a retrograde period, so we can really put an end to some of these karmic cycles. And then after that, we'll do the only part of this forecast that is going to be specific to signs, or in this case, elements. We'll do the elemental forecast and then dig into that special topic. I do ask that you save any questions for the end. I do allow a little place where you can meditate and ask that question silently. So since I need to kind of go into a channeled state, it's too difficult for me to answer questions in real time, but that's the sort of nice compromise when it comes to that. All right, so let's go ahead now and get the candles set up, and then we'll get started, all right? Okay, so I don't always have time to light candles with you, but today I thought it was important, particularly since, again, we're trying to sort of shift through energy. So we have 2 wicks on this one. Let's go ahead and connect to source energy first, and the way that I like to do that is just to imagine a ray of sunshine or moonlight or starlight, whatever you'd like to, a celestial source or a celestial body. Close your eyes and see that ray of light, creating a perfect cone of energy around you. And as you're tuning into that, you can imagine that that's actually your higher self, not just a star in the sky, okay? And as you do that, let's set the intention to receive guidance in the highest form possible, to allow the light to be a filter through which only other light or positive energy can come through as guidance. And then always at the beginning, it's good to start with gratitude. So I'd like to say thanks to you for being present. I'd like to thank everybody for making time in their life to just work on themselves a little bit. And if there's someone in your life that you want to send some love or gratitude or light to, you can put that energy here as well. So we open up the heart space. Okay. Calling in some additional protection through Archangel Michael or whatever kind of deity or energy you want to connect to, but I'm going to use the archangels. So Archangel Michael, please protect us. Again, allowing us now to tune in without any sort of worry because we know that you're there, keeping a watchful eye on us. Archangel Gabriel, since we're all focusing on channeling, allow us to be clear channels ourselves, being capable of bringing in the highest light and the highest energy. For those who feel like they need some healing right now, let's work with Archangel Raphael. Thank you, Raphael, for being present, for allowing us to facilitate this healing, and for helping us to see everything in front of us, including the lessons and the difficulties sometimes that obscures that lesson. And finally, to the Ascended Masters, who we haven't even thought of calling in, please work with the Archangels today. Thank you for all that are present, both in spirit and in body today. Let's make this a great reading, okay? As I said, I like to begin every reading with channeled messages. Channeled messages come to me right before I wake up, usually, a lot of times during meditation as well. So let me go ahead and break down what I was picking up on this morning. So today I was shown a lot of messages around like checks, literally like checkbooks. Also like the idea of checks and balances came through. And then I was literally shown a coin too for investing or putting some sort of an idea, kind of like an Ace of Pentacles out there. So let's break down each and every one of these messages and get set up for today. Let me hit the play button so that fills the screen. So there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so checks and balances are the sort of spirit totem and literally a checkbook, or we can look at the scales there in the image as well, and I'll talk about that a little bit with its connection to mythology, which I didn't even make a slide on, but it's also important. All right, so I liked the idea and I understood what Spirit was trying to do with showing me like a check or a ledger. And basically, when we look at our life, a lot of times this happens in life review, which is why I chose the Judgment card. We have to sit down with our guides, with our higher self, with the divine energy, and take a look and basically do some accounting, some spiritual accounting. You don't have to pass on to do this. You can do it every day. It's especially effective while you're living. And so what Spirit was saying was take a look at where you're spending time, spending energy, spending love and money, because just as in the suit of Pentacles, that sort of energy of exchange, it's not contained only within money. So look at your spending, look at your spiritual checkbook and ask yourself, is it balanced? You're being given a chance to cancel, release, or reset a karmic cycle. And that ultimately is what Judgment represents. It's being able to live again, to have a rebirth in this lifetime. It's also indicative of our karmic sort of cycles that we keep going through. And we do come back to this planet again and again, even if you can't remember it. There's just way too much energy around this sort of cycles to sort of like not see that. But if you're I don't think there's many atheists that tune in, but if you don't kind of connect to this, it's clear that in every lifetime, just even on this planet, we have cycles that we go through. And a lot of times we keep repeating things until we've learned the lesson, just like school, right? So even if you can kind of like connect to that piece of it, what this month is offering you is an opportunity to graduate, to let go of something that you were either holding on to or that you called in or attracted to you as a teacher. And so once you realize that isn't it, and a lot of times that situation was just there to elevate you, the minute you realize it in your head and in your heart, then it'll move on. You're no longer beholden to its power because you've chosen to move in a different direction. She sees who she is here. This is from the Light Seers deck, this particular Judgment card. It's beautiful and it's contemporary, which is why I chose it and I just gave credit to who created it. But it's beautiful because that future her, which is kind of like euphorically rising from her body and almost dancing like a ballerina, is coming out and saying, thank goodness you're finally seeing that this is what it's all about, or that this is possible. You always have the keys like I said, in your head and in your heart to open up that future you that's like that woman dancing, okay? One thing that I like about modern decks, I've been using the Wild Unknown quite a bit. There's a Hierophant card in there where there's just a raven with a key. We don't need the gatekeeper anymore to open the keys. We're at a point now where we can actually open the cosmic keys and doors. So just know that you have the key within. We've been told over many centuries that we can't do it and that someone has to do it for us, but you've always had the power to directly connect to your own divinity and to open up these gateways. So that's what this is about this month, is reclaiming your power, canceling out the old debts, the old karmic sort of cycles. And that's one other piece with it is, if you said you were going to do something, finish it up. If there is something that you need to say to someone, make sure that you say it and make sure that there's nothing left. We don't want any negative balance in the karmic checkbook. Okay? say no, do what's right, not necessarily what's popular. So I see these two as sibling cards. Judgment and Justice typically, even though they're not next to each other in the Major Arcana, this is number 11. Sometimes it's a different number in different decks. I think 11 and 8 can switch, but Judgment, anyway, they're at different ends. They're almost like halfway through. But I actually see them very much together, and a lot of times in readings they'll come together. So this is the inner knowing, this is the inner understanding. This is oftentimes Judgment when something's been sort of like delivered to you or told to you, but maybe the acceptance isn't there, the belief isn't there, the trust isn't there yet. This is when you actually have a lot of power on deciding, or this is deciding what to do about what you've been told. The two both have a little bit of energy of you're not completely through that portal 100%. The World card, of course, is when it all comes together. So with Justice here, what I like about this one, and it leads me to the Joni Mitchell quote from Both Sides Now on the next slide, is that there's always two sides to every story and two perspectives. And saying no or doing what's right for you to someone else may seem like it's the wrong thing, or deciding to do something that is completely unexpected, people may just think, have you lost it? And I wish we had a different phrase for that. Instead of saying someone's losing it, maybe someone's finding it. Maybe you finally found it. You found yourself, right? So the more you try to please others, sometimes the more unhappy you become. You need to follow your heart and your soul on this, and don't succumb to pressure. So as many of you know, right now I'm in the process of looking for a new place. Interesting when you work with different agents, because it's a crazy market here in LA, and much like New York, sometimes you need to work with a realtor. One of the things that you'll learn sometimes is that there's pressure. They just want you in a given day to just choose one of the properties that they showed you. But you have to sort of stay true to what it is that you're looking at to make sure that even when I'm looking for just an apartment for a year or so, because the housing market's crazy, that, I still want it to be good. I still want it to be what's right for me. And I'm not going to just make a decision because they're tired of looking. I can always work with another agent if they lose that sort of investment of energy. Because if I'm going to go somewhere, I want it to feel right. And unlike many of the people that are looking, probably, I'm looking at the energy of the place too. How do I feel in it? Not just all of the exteriors, not all the bells and whistles, but when I'm in it, does it feel right? And so I want you to trust that inner knowing. So for me, for instance, I walked into a place that was in a basement. Like, that's not going to work. There was another one that had this weird split level energy, and it was like where I never felt like I was kind of like cohesively whole in the unit. And so other places that this will take place is perhaps if you're on a first date and you meet someone and immediately you know there's going to be future dates. There's a connection as long as they feel the connection. Or if you walk into a job and maybe you're temporary and you think this is going to be difficult or this is going to be great. I want you to go with the initial impression that you're getting with things, because until you get the click, that aha, you know that there's more to be looked at. And maybe if you've never felt that click, this is a time to figure out, what is it that I want? Am I just sort of like going through this with blindfolds? Am I really weighing it out? I didn't have time to put this slide in, but I've talked about it before, so I'm just going to touch upon it while Justice is up here. So this card reminds me always of the sort of Egyptian measuring of the heart against the feather. We want your heart to feel free, to feel light, to feel open. And that's something that I always try to do, is to keep the heart open, to even when difficulty happens in your life, when there's a setback, to never close this chakra down, because this is sort of our connection to the divine. Like, love is the currency of the universe. So do you love who you are, what you're doing in your life, what's around you, who's around you? And if there's a no in any one of those categories, the cosmic checkbook and the scales and the balances are coming through and saying, okay, that's where you need to focus right now. And as we look at the reading here in just a few moments with all the cards, hopefully I can help you out with that. So there's a song by Joni Mitchell. You can look at it on Spotify, iTunes, or the streaming service of your choice later. But there's a line in there that she's looked at life from both sides now, and she realizes that it's like cloud illusions. Like when you look up at the sky and you look at something and it looks like it could be an elephant, or sometimes it looks really scary, like a monster or whatever. It's these illusions like or kid fears that we kind of have looking at that stuff. If there's ever a card that would connect to that, it would be the Seven of Cups. We can sometimes put ourselves into this fear or anxiety or place of illusions. And what we really want to do right now is to understand that, again, you can overthink here sometimes. And just like we saw with this, the two sides to every story, try to understand what's important to you, try to see the other person's perspective. But at the end of the day, this life is your curriculum. And you're being asked, what do you want? Where do you stand? Did you get everything you need to out of this? I recently had someone else read for me just because there's been stuff going on and I wanted to check my own intuition. But I liked that the person said, did you get what you needed? Have I helped with what you were looking for? And that's a good way. That's something that I ask on my own readings is, did you get everything? Do you understand? Do you have any questions? Clarity is really important. So make sure that you're getting the clarity that you need in your life, and make sure that you're going into a job, an interview, a date today with an intention, with an idea. What do I want to do today? And only you can really answer that question because it's here. So connect to the heart as much as possible, and let's try to bring some lightness, both in energy and also literally infusing it with some light. Maybe we'll do that in the meditation to allow you to feel that sense of that's what I want, that's what I feel, okay? Here's some things that I was thinking of as we were looking at the Seven of Cups here. Really focus on empathy and understanding. Try to simplify your vision and your goals. Just like anything, if you can give your elevator pitch, if you will, summarize everything in a few words to somebody, it's going to be a lot easier for them to get behind that and to understand what's going on, okay? Avoid overthinking. I love the Seven of Cups. It's really good for brainstorms, for creative outlets, for also just asking the deep probing questions that we all need to. It's a good card. It can go too far sometimes if we endlessly go into the questioning place. You have to eventually walk the path, make some decisions. So this is always, think of it as like a hotel that you're going to stay at for a while and enjoy the amenities and think about things and treat yourself a little bit to that, the ability just to have fun and what if. But you have to eventually check out of the Seven of Cups or you never move forward on the path, okay? If others in your life are unwilling to empathize, listen, or understand, it's also a clear indication that there's a redirection happening in your life. It's not a block, but this person, this place, this opportunity no longer is there to support. It's just there to say, hey, you need to go in another direction. So we're going to try to recognize, instead of calling them blocks, we could even think of them as shields. It's shielding you from remaining in that space. And like an invisible shield, you try to go and you try to penetrate that, but it won't allow you. It bounces you back. So if you keep getting bounced back like a pinball, you're supposed to go in another direction, okay? Make a wish, make an intention, set a goal. The last thing that I saw was a coin and a fountain, and the universe is basically saying, what next? What do you want? We're here to help you, but what do you want? And during this period, powerful period when we're in a retrograde, you have a chance to set intentions, to do research, to make goals. That's why I'm looking for a place. I had someone saying, why are you doing this? I said, I'm not gonna sign a contract in the next couple of weeks, but I'm gonna look like there's no tomorrow, so that I can really see what's out there and really set my intention. And by the time I found it, we're gonna be out of retrograde anyway. So you can do work. Why would I just sit and wait during a retrograde? You have to explore. You have to try to solve problems. Life moves on. Even if you have to move or start a job or do some sort of a contract, you can do it. Someone was surprised to hear that. It's just trickier. You just have to look at the fine print and have contingency or fail-safe sort of plans in place. You can still do it. Life continues every day. We're not going to wait and for 4 weeks or something for something to happen. You have to keep moving, okay? The questions I was guided to ask you is, are you ready to invest in your dream? Because the previous card was a dreaming card, hoping, wishing, dreaming, ideation. Are you ready to invest in something new? If you've experienced a setback, are you willing to look at it from the other side, realizing that sometimes the blame, sometimes the punishment, sometimes that feeling of exhaustion, it's not really necessarily serving you, right? So don't look at these sort of illusions and let them get in your way. Don't let them sort of fog the view, okay? And those were the messages that came through today. There's one last one here that I want to talk about. And I think this is the whole purpose and probably why many of you chose this particular topic for today. And it's that there's going to be a check and balance in power. That's the last place where this occurs. Not every political system has this, but most companies or countries or governments have some sort of a check or a balance where someone has to get permission from someone. Maybe it's a comptroller, maybe it's Congress or Parliament or something, a legal body, someone that's holding the coins and the purse there of what, like giving you the money. Usually there's a gatekeeper somewhere. So this month, there is this sort of check and balance of you and your power and your authority. Here's the thing. You have the authority and you have the power to do what you want to do. This other person is not necessarily checking your power as much as your faith and your confidence and your trust. And when we lack confidence or when we lack clarity, that's when someone comes in and tries to tug the rope in their direction and regain some of that power. So what you're going to do this month is, if you're ready, you're going to stand firm and say, yes, because. Yes, I am sure of this. Yes, I need and want and I can do this because of X, Y, Z. Okay? Also, for those of you that wonder, why it hurts when you separate from someone or something, they don't have to kind of pass into spirit for this to happen. A divorce or separation or quitting or being made redundant or being laid off, all of these things can make you feel like there's this emptiness that wasn't there the day before. And it's because the energy of the person, place, or thing, it kind of goes back to source. And when you're not in the energy, you're not connected anymore and the contract's been broken, you sometimes don't realize how much space you were holding for that, or maybe how much that person, place, or thing was investing in you. And so then all of a sudden, just like your phone or your car battery, it needs to be recharged. And so some of what's going on for you is a recharging moment and realizing that I thought I needed that person, place, or thing, but I didn't. But now I have to work on me. I need to charge back up to full. And part of that involves remembering that you've always had the capacity to do it, knowing that it was nice to have that extra sort of like push or lift, but you don't need it. And so sometimes we just atrophy a bit, and this is a chance to work out our energy, our mind, body, and spirit. Exercise is a great way to find the strength and the power that we see here in the Emperor card. And as I wrote in the final bullet here, sometimes you have to walk the path alone to remember who you are, how far you've come, and that you always were capable of doing what you're now doing. So in a moment of crisis, that's when we realize all of a sudden that adrenaline rush comes in and it's like, oh, okay, I'll do this. And then maybe a day or two later, you're exhausted and you think, God, how did I do that? You could always do it. You always can. You always will be able to do it. We don't need to go into the crisis mode, though, to find the power. And that's what this message is about today. So reclaim lost energy. And if you have this extra space, time, or sort of like openness, that's giving you a chance to fill it up differently this time. Not with the same old, same old. Let's put some new ingredients in the cauldron and see what comes through. And that's what today's reading is going to be about. Okay? So powerful messages today, a little bit like deeper than usual. I don't always go with just a nature totem. Sometimes I get just a sign or a symbol. Past couple days it's been like that. I was actually shown like the eye, I think for Sagittarius, like an ocular sort of symbol. And so sometimes we're not going to just look at that. I'll go with what spirit sends me because there's a lot of different ways to convey messages, so I don't question what I'm receiving there. All right, we're going to go now into the 7-day forecast. And as we go through all of this, I'm going to kind of just pull a deck of cards as I'm called to, and then when we get into the main reading, I'll see what I want to do at that point. All right, so for the 7-day forecast, I feel like I want something kind of abstract. So I think I'm going to go with field. Sometimes I accidentally will call field fountain or fountain field because they're both very similar in their abstracts. But I think I'll start with this. Let me just zoom the camera in so you can see what I see. And let's get started. All right, so this is going to be for the next 7 days. It's going to take us from this Sunday to next Sunday. And it's for everybody present. Message for today. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the next weekend. Okay, so this is a very abstract kind of deck, and it makes me go into my intuition a little bit more, which is why I pulled it for today. All right, so let's begin with your message for Sunday. So we have the 10 of Cups here. What I like about this particular card is it's reversed, and I'll talk about the reversal, is that ultimately this is about abundance and opportunity. But it's a lot of times the peer pressure that I was talking about earlier comes through with this. In the form of friends and family and those that are closest to us. We see all the roses and the growth at the center, but there's a reminder that roses have thorns and not everything is easy when it comes to managing relationships. So I'm going to focus on the thorn metaphor here, roses and thorns. So today, things may not be easy when it comes to those close relationships to you. What you want to look at, if we look at the totem of a rose, it takes work, right? For anybody who's ever tried to grow a rose, you have to prune it. You also have to watch out for things like aphids and other sort of diseases. They're very kind of delicate, even though they have these thorns, and they're persnickety and they need a lot of love and care. So there's something in your life right now that is requiring a little bit more care, and you may be at a point right now as you're trying to take care of it that you get scratched or kind of like poked by one of those thorns. What you want to think about is that time and energy that I wait for that blossom to happen worth it? Do I still feel guided to go through this journey of nurturing and caring so that I can see that beautiful rose or the whole sort of like bouquet of roses that we see here, okay? So some of you are just merely being asked, is the investment worth it? And for some of you, it's going to be a resounding yes. But much like raising a child, it's more difficult at the beginning, right? Because they're going to be completely reliant upon you. You have to feed them. You have to change them. You have to intuit what's going on in their mind, body, and spirit. And it's difficult because you're not given an instruction book. So if you're at the beginning of a journey like that and you're in the birthing process, figuratively or literally, the baby in front of you or this new venture in front of you is going to have a lot of thorns. It's going to take a lot of work. You're going to have to do a lot of pruning and a lot of fertilizing for this to happen, okay? So don't give up. So today is a day of persistence, and it's a day to acknowledge that that wasn't fun, but the future vision of what I see and what's potentially possible, that's worth it. For the rest of you that aren't engaging in something new, this is the peer pressure that I talked about. Nobody can do this better than friends and family, right? They know exactly how to push your buttons. They know exactly where you're going to be triggered. And so you're going to avoid the trigger, whatever that might be. Whatever it is that they're going to say or do to try to get you to emote or feel something, you're going to say, all right, I understand where you're coming from. I know what you're trying to do, but let's get back to what I was saying here, okay? So you're going to be strong. And finally, I see a rose as a symbol of strength too. Those little thorns are protections basically for the plant. So what you want to do is try to let down some of your defenses when it comes to opening up your heart and being in a relationship. If you go into a conversation with all the thorns and not the rose, it's not going to work. I think lead with the rose, not the thorns. So start with a positive, start with something that is going to show that the two of you have a common interest or common respect, and then move from that. So you know that, like, if there's ever been someone that immediately picks up the phone, they're a little salty, they're a little angry, and they just go straight into what's wrong, it's like, it's hard, it's difficult. So try to start with something amiable and then work into the critique or the issue at hand, and that's going to help you. That's what I see with this card. So today's a good day, but you have to remember the long-term goals, okay? There is a rose to be had, but there's some thorns that might pop up. So really choose wisely, try to focus on the rose, not so much some of that difficult stuff, okay? Because that is at the center of this, and it does feel like the energy of support and love is there. Sometimes, again, friends and family are trying to, it almost looks like an eye, doesn't it, when you look at it from this far back? So they're trying to focus on one thing, and you're trying to kind of like bring their attention in a different direction. All right, let's look at Monday for everybody. We have the Ace of Cups, and the card is reversed. What's really beautiful about this particular card is that we see that it's all about perspective. It almost is, I have a deck called Revelations, which maybe I'll pull out for the next portion. But it is one that has both sides shown, right? So this one is saying, you may think it's this, but look at what's coming. Again, we're looking at perspectives, looking at what's in the future. One of my favorite lessons when I was a kid was in art class, where the teacher showed us how to kind of like use angles to force or create an illusion of perspective. And she said, look, it's 2D, but if we do this, you can almost see into the picture. And it helped me see that there's different dimensions to everything, to sadness, to joy, to loss, to opportunity. So let's say you get some good news, but it requires you to say goodbye to something, like you're going to have to move across country or to a different country. There's both happiness and also sadness involved with that, because one thing means stepping away from another. You lose someone, but your heart wants to feel love again. So it feels like it's falling apart, but a part of you is saying, yeah, but I believe, I know there's something better, and I know this was for the best too. So loss and love and like giving and receiving, there's always this sort of energy of renewal here. So on Monday, there's something that feels like it's a setback, but it's not. You're being set up to receive again. You just have to pull that sort of satellite dish in another direction to receive the signal, okay? So turn this situation around, very much connected to today's message of being able to look past the block. On my little emoji for the topic, I saw like a cliff climber, and I'm like, that's perfect, because someone would look at that mountain or cliff and think I can't do it, but someone who enjoys climbing would think, all right, let's just put this in, do that, all right, we're going to get past this and go to the next thing. So kind of like the 10 of Wands, push through the energy of the emotion that I can't, or this hurts. It's okay to feel the hurt, by the way. I don't want you to push that under the rug, but I want you to see past the hurt and understand that there is more than this. That it will be okay on the horizon, and ask yourself, what am I going to do about this? Why did this come through? One of the areas that, it feels like I get this a lot when I read for you guys, but the solar plexus, as I'm talking about this, is firing up a little bit. Those of you that had a really difficult tug of war between you and another person, again, it could be a sibling, it could be a coworker, it could be a boss. That's coming through as something to be mindful of on Monday. Power struggles. Don't let the emotional side get the better of you, and then words that come out of your mouth, it's like you're no longer in control. Stay in control of the emotions and channel them, and validate them. Say, I'm upset about this. This hurts me when you say this. Or we need to talk about this, because until I get past this, I can't focus on this. So you can acknowledge the emotion, but don't let the emotion then just come out in like mean words or critical sort of language. Say what it is that you want and hope and feel, and let the person see what they can do about it. Communicate, basically. Communicate rather than talking at or acting out at someone. That's the opportunity on Monday, because if you do that, there's actually love and support coming through. So it's just an Ace of Cups that feels like it's not going to happen. So illusions coming through a little bit on Monday, okay? Now we have a beautiful Six of Pentacles here. I'm actually happy that I chose this very abstract deck for today, because it helps us see things differently. So typically this would be a scale card here. You would see scales, right, on this, and you would see hands that were reaching for things. But the Six of Pentacles to me is also a very optimistic card. So on Tuesday, if you say no to something, remember that was one of my one of the slides that I had earlier. You then set yourself up to receive more of something else. It sounds weird, but it works. So let's say you have three things that are kind of vying for your attention. You have someone who is asking you if you can help them after work. You have two people that are trying to get your time and energy all day. You're going to have to pick one of those that can really benefit from your time and energy, and then you're going to hold some space. And when you have that space and time, someone might actually walk over to you and say, hey, do you need a hand with this? Or did you see this? Or you have time to kind of find something that you forgot about. And maybe even avoid something, like maybe there's a bill or a to-do list item and you're like, oh yeah, I got to take care of that. But had I been so busy that I was pleasing 3 people instead of just that one, I would have forgotten about this other thing. You have to create some space, and then you're going to receive guidance, inspiration. Maybe you'll just be able to do a lot more with that energy that you have than kind of spreading yourself thin. So the message on Tuesday in a succinct form is do less, but do it better. And be open to find efficiencies or opportunities for growth where you didn't think they existed. Put on your Queen of Wands hat and think of things from a different perspective. She doesn't get stuck. She just thinks inside out, around, and she's like, all right, I'm going to try this instead. So be the Queen of Wands, be the Six of Pentacles, be open to say no and realize that that no opens up a future yes for you. Okay? Let's move on to the middle of the week. I love this card here. We have the Princess of Discs, basically Page of Pentacles, and we have Manifestation as the caption. Let's pull this really close so you can see it. Okay, so are you fully invested, and do you fully believe in what it is that you're doing? Because if you aren't there yet, hold off on shopping that around and talking to people about it. But if you can go into a situation and say, I have some exciting news, or something happened and you're the first person that I wanted to talk about because I think you're going to really enjoy this. Like that excitement, that connection, it gets your heart fluttering a little bit if you're in the receiving end. It's like, all right, what is this? What are you talking about? Yes, that's so much better than, hey, I don't know if you want to talk about, I don't know, like wishy-washy sort of energy going around it. Go into a negotiation, an announcement, a conversation, a phone call with a sense of, I'm so glad that you and I have a chance to talk today. Guess what happened? And then tell them what happened. Set up excitement, set up that investment, and then let them know that you're not wasting their time. That's how I would succinctly say you could be successful. There may be someone coming to you with an opportunity on Wednesday. If they're not coming at it with that sense of excitement and investment, that's your sort of internal blinking red light to say, wait a second, why aren't they coming to me feeling good about it? If they have reservations, then we need to look at the reservations first. I always trust somebody when they are doubting themselves. When sometimes people can be salesmen when it comes to like, good news or whatever. But if they ever say something like, I don't know about this, or maybe we should look, I'm like, yeah, we should look into it. If you're doubting it, I'm definitely doubting it. Particularly if you're bringing it to me. If you doubt yourself or you doubt what you want me to look at, then more work has to be done for sure. So if someone isn't coming forward and you're not excited, if you don't feel invested, put your time and energy into something else, because the lesson of the day before was has to be worth your time and energy. And start to set up that expectation that don't come to me until you feel ready. You can just think it. You don't have to say these things, but put the energy out there that your time is valuable and people should be prepared. Just like you would be if you were going to speak to someone in quote unquote power, like an authority figure. Usually you have to set up an appointment. Usually you would have a presentation. Usually you would be very buttoned up and prepared to have a conversation and have all your questions and ducks in a row, right? And so put the same expectation out there for others. Like if they're not ready, just say, why don't you come back once you've thought this through a little bit? That's a great way if someone's not sure about it. Just say, it sounds like you're not quite ready. I got a lot that I'm working on today. Why don't you look into this and this. Here are my questions. Come back when you've got some more information on that, and then we can look at it. Come back when you're ready. Okay, that's what you can say. As we look at Thursday, it's a really great day to negotiate. Yes, Four of Wands is reversed, but Four of Wands always opens up a door for peace talks. It's also a great date for having a date, going out with somebody. Good to meet up with friends. It's just a very inviting energy. The card in reverse kind of begs the question, are you ready? Also, do you value yourself equally? Because sometimes this can be putting someone on a pedestal. And you look at someone else and you think, I'm so lucky that this person's in my life. Guess what? I'd like to remind us every time I can of this, but that person also called you in. There are no accidental connections. So they're learning something from you, or you're reflecting something to them that they needed to remember. So you're equals. Everybody's equal, even though we have these hierarchies and these sort of like, different things that kind of make us feel like we are alone or isolated. So they may have something that you don't have, but on a soul level, there's a teacher and student energy that's going on there, and both of you are there for a reason. So celebrate the connection and think to yourself, they're also fortunate to have me because there's an exchange, there's an energetic exchange. Have fun. This should be sort of like a enjoyable dance between you and the other person. So really, by the way, I didn't post it here on YouTube because it wouldn't fit into the short. I can only do 60 seconds, but you should follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and Facebook. I do occasionally do a one card pull. I've been, not every day, but maybe every other day or 2 or 3 times a week I'm doing that. One of them that I pulled yesterday was the Sun card. And one of the things that I was talking about that was just that sort of ability to turn on your light a little bit and have some fun and be playful. And that is also coming through with this because it will attract into your energy than the Four of Wands. So taking care of yourself and believing in yourself and then bringing that sun energy into the Four of Wands makes you really powerful. And then it's going to cement and be sort of like the closing element to a deal. So great day to talk to people, great day to meet people, have some fun, and realize that you both are there for a reason. Don't second guess your importance or connection in this day, okay? This, again, could be a day for love, could be a day for friendship, but no matter what it is, it's a day where people are going to play a major role in your experience, okay? Thursday's fantastic, a highlight. Wednesday and Thursday look really great. All right, so we have number 12 here, which would be Hanged Man. It's a different sort of version of the Hanged Man, so let's look at this. It's really to help you gain perspective, and the card is reversed. So for many of you, you're going through a moment in time where you're asking yourself, like, why aren't things happening faster? Or I don't know if I'm ready. Sometimes with the Hanged Man, we want to hold on to something as well, particularly if it's reversed. You either want to rush it or stop it. And the main thing here is that cosmic timing is at play. So I would say the best thing that you could do on Friday is, if you can't control someone else's decision or the timing, I want you to change perspectives and focus on a different activity. That sense of detachment, interestingly enough, can attract whatever it is that you feel stuck on. And it can also help you see it from a different point of view. And one of the things that we were talking about was like the cloud illusions earlier, right? So this will help you get past that sort of, this is it. So it's also much more attractive for the other person when they feel like they need to get some of your time when you're not fixated on them. So just take a deep breath, take a pause, and think, what else can I focus on? It's just a change of direction on Friday, okay? So you're not stuck. Things are going to happen, but there's a pause button on Friday so that you can look at your desk, figuratively speaking, and think, is it clear? Or, do I need to focus on this? Have I answered all my calls? Is there anything on my to-do list that I could actually feel a better return on my energetic investment today? All right. If you do that, I feel like Friday is going to be a good day no matter what. Let's slide these up a little bit and let's look at next weekend. 6 days from now, looking at the Two of Pentacles, focusing on next Saturday. This is really interesting how it's illustrated. When you don't have the people in the cards, you kind of just focus on some of the other energy here. So with this one, we see almost, it's night and day. It doesn't matter which direction this is in because, again, it's just options. So for you, that you're being asked to make a choice, and this card has a caption titled Change at the bottom. So one thing that I like to remind folks with, you got both of them. These are also sister cards. So Six of Pentacles and Two of Pentacles have very different energies. On Tuesday, you have a lot of choices. You can change the scope. You can change the time. You can do a lot of different things. And you're not stuck. You just can't have everything you want that day. On Saturday, however, you're being asked to make a choice between two things. You don't get as much freedom. And someone may say, okay, but what do you want to do? Where are we going? What's next? And that's going to be the challenge for you, is really picking what thing you feel most connected to. Don't overthink. This is the whole thing that we've been talking about today, was that impression and where the heart is taking you. So go where you feel best, and you don't always need a deck of cards. You don't need a pendulum. You just need to feel it out. And that's one thing that I've been reminding myself as I go through looking at properties and looking at spaces. You could do the same with jobs. You don't need anything other than third eye and heart. It will tell you everything you need. Every one of us knows, as we step into a situation, as we shake someone's hand, as we do anything, is this good or is this not? Choose the path that feels better. There's a sense of illusion that I'm trapped. The only thing that I miss in this card is the blindfolds. I like seeing that reminder. So this is showing us that the blindfolds aren't necessary. There's just two different energies, and you can always course correct. You can always try something and then go back and go in the other direction if you need to. But today, on that day, rather, you're being asked to focus on one thing. Give something a shot and give it your full attention. If you split your time and energy, you're not going to be as effective. It's going to take longer to do, okay? So the word no is most important on Saturday, the upcoming Saturday. And we talked earlier about the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper makes an appearance next Sunday, a week from today, for those of you that are watching live. And the Hierophant is that gatekeeper card. In a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you're going to see the keys to the kingdom right beneath him and a couple of disciples. What I've been talking about recently is you don't need to put so much weight in the gatekeeper. So here's your traditional Hierophant. Here's the key. The key made an appearance in the emoji that I put on today's video on this sort of teaser graphic. Because when I was thinking of alchemy, I'm glad you guys chose it, because sometimes the word scares people. But I was like, I could put like something that shows like chemistry or whatever, but I thought, no, today is really about opening a door that we thought was shut. And this person says it's shut, and these disciples are believing, but they could just take the key and try it themselves. That's what I always think of when I see the Hierophant. So he's there pontificating, he's the Pope, but the key, you've got the key. So somebody is going to say this is the only way to do it. Or you may be thinking, I have to go this traditional route. You don't have to. There can be another way out. And that's what I'm getting when I look at this Hierophant. The other thing with it is there is power in organization. So one thing that we can embrace with the sort of hierarchy of the Hierophant is know what's going on. Take stock. So looking at the ledger, it needs to happen way in advance of this so that by next Sunday, a week from today, you have all the checks and balances in front of you. So at that point, though, there will be in your head, you're going to come to a conclusion that, oh, all right, so that's why all of this was happening, and I see a pattern now. So the organization and that sort of energy of getting everything in its proper space, kind of, I was talking about the Sun card being a librarian, but there's some of that here as well. Category, putting everything in a category and kind of like putting labels on it. You have to know the rules before you break the rules, and that's kind of what we're getting with this, and you'll be able to break the rules or break the mold next Sunday, but you have to go through the energy of this week first to get to that aha moment, okay? So overall, a pretty powerful week. One thing that I really like about this week is that we're not seeing energy that's super chaotic like the Tower or the Devil or the Ten of Swords. There's much more energy around balancing. Two cards in particular with those, and then we talked about it, like the power balance, check and balance, and then also sort of like time and energetic investments, which we also discussed earlier. The best days for dealing with people. Actually, today, 10 of Cups, very attractive, but sometimes you feel like you have to please. So the energy here is just a reminder that you don't have to please everybody. They're actually attracted to you and want to spend time around you and probably will stick around you no matter what. So remember that. Monday, again, there seems like there might be a setback or disappointment, but it's opening up something better. So a change of perspective, just like we saw on Friday. Make smarter choices, say no both on Tuesday and on Saturday so that the rest of the week can blossom. The biggest blossoming day is actually midweek here with manifestation. Something actually comes through. You might also, we have a word here, generosity on Tuesday. Someone could gift you something or say, I don't want this. That's going to be very good for you and it's going to help you open up more abundance. You have more than you think and it's going to come through midweek. People, again, playing an important role at the Thursday point. And then there's a temporary pause here that is really asking you and begging you to sort of look at your resource investment as we see here on Sunday or Saturday. And Sunday, there's an opportunity and there's someone saying, are you sure you want this? Can you do this? But they're just a gatekeeper. You take them away and all you have is the gate. So you're going to have to find a way to navigate around this gatekeeper, but that opportunity has already been opened up to you. All right, so we're going to move on to the next section here. And the next piece is going to be blessings and blocks. Just give me a moment to arrange the cards so that we have more room on the table. I'm just going to put this whole weekly forecast up at the top here. And we're going to go to a different deck for this because I want to see people again. I'm going to use the Afro Goddess deck for this portion, and we'll just keep kind of navigating through some of my favorites as I do this. All right, so blessings and blocks. Let's go ahead and pull the two together and see what wants to come through. Your blessing is the Six of Cups. And your block is the World, which is not a block. It's just feeling overwhelming, isn't it? All right, so let's talk about these. So definitely we got that energy of people coming through this week because 10 of Cups, Ace of Cups, 4 of Wands. Some of you might actually be calling in an amazing partnership. So when it comes to love or relationships or partners, I love this card because this is the card of a best friend, a brother-sister energy, someone who's just really in that twin. I don't like twin flame or whatever. I like the idea of binary stars. That was something that I put up for, I think, last week's voting and you guys didn't vote for it. Or maybe I put it up this week too and I can't remember. But I like to think of that idea in astronomy where there's two brilliant luminous bodies out there in space and they don't have to consume each other. They can just rotate around each other. So to me, that's kind of like what the Six of Cups is these two luminous beings that are just saying, hey, let's celebrate one another. Let's celebrate this connection. So you could be calling in a partnership. I don't say that there's going to be love or friendship or partnership unless I see it. But you could definitely be pulling that in, manifesting it more specifically because we see that card around the midweek with this. So yay for that, okay? This is typically karmic. This is typically past life, and it's typically good. The other energy that this can be attached to is siblings in our life, children or parents, because it can cut both ways, or a friend from the past. It's the playful energy that is kind of a part of that past friendship. But this is also, for many of you, this can be a challenging or a grounding sort of energy because this is someone who knows you or has known you through all your different sort of evolutions. So whether it's past lives or just in the past of this life, they recognize the young you, the inner child, and there's going to be some sort of a reckoning with the inner child. So whatever relationship's coming into focus over the next 7 days, the inner child needs something from that, and that's why you called it in. So you either are missing the friendship, you want validation, there might be the sibling rivalry that's coming through, there's something that the inner child wants to have be seen. And remember what we talked about earlier. The best thing that you could do is just love that child. Like when we're looking at the rose and the thorn energy, I mentioned a baby needs nurturing. So whatever that lesson is that it brings through, just love it and it will transpire, it'll pass. And hopefully then it can just be fun and friendship because generally speaking, it's a really good card. So connect with an old friend this week. I would say someone that you truly love. It's going to be a good connection. Meet them for lunch, have a sort of video call with them, or do something to just reestablish those bonds. Okay? Your block came through with the World card. Some of you are not ready to walk through the gateway that we saw with the Hierophant here. So the Hierophant was guarding this new opportunity, and some of you are afraid of what it will feel like. I love that we see roses all around her as well, blossoming. She's saying it's worth it. You can deal with the pain, you can deal with the discomfort, but sometimes when we step into the unknown, it's scary, right? It's like an empty room without furniture, and you're thinking, how am I going to fill this room up? Who will come into this part of the house? It's all opportunity when you do that sort of move. Having been on both sides using the Joni Mitchell sort of thing, and this is very much a portal here too, but having just packed up, a family member's house that passed away a couple months ago, it was really interesting to go through all of that stuff and then look at the empty house without the person or the things. Whether it's you or someone that you love and you have to go through that, and I'm going to have to go through it again with all of my stuff here. It's a moment, right? For anybody that's done this. For some of you, it might just be the moment when you graduate from one grade to another, or one job to another. But when you have that box of things or your backpack, or you're putting the keys in and locking the door behind you, there's a little lump in your throat, right? Like, okay, that's a chapter. It's done. I'm not going back there, right? But then there's new things that start to come through. That was just one chapter. You put one set of keys in the door and lock it, there's going to be another set at the other place. That's why there's 2 keys on this card. One is the key that you are going to give up, and one is the key that you're going to receive. So the Hierophant is coming through. I just got the Magician card saying you're creating that next new key, by the way. So you're the locksmith too. There's a reminder there that you give up one, but you get another one, okay? And that helps us with the World card here. So just see what else is there. It's time. You've outgrown a particular opportunity or thing in your life, even a relationship. It served its purpose. So it's always nice to have more, but just like a meal, if you keep consuming at a certain point, it just creates bloat and it makes you sick. So you've consumed all that you need to from an experience, and now your body needs to just move on to the next thing. Make room for the next meal, okay? You're going to be fine. These are 2 cards of abundance. This could be a change of location, a change of relationship status. It's a big change. And the bigness, the largeness of this sort of change is what's scaring you, okay? All right. Let's go ahead now and look at the next piece of the puzzle. So just as a reminder of what we've done already, we've looked at channel messages, 7-day forecasts, blessings and blocks. Now we're going to go to the elements. So for the elements today, I think I want to use the Light Seers deck, and then we'll get into the next portion. All right, so let's talk about what the elemental forecast is. This is where I break it down, and we're going to look at fire, earth, air, and water. This is the only part of today's reading that is specific to aspects of your chart. And you can look at this as your different sun, rising, and moon if you know all your placements, but this is the only piece that's going to be specific. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at collective messages, thus the name collective, which means everyone. All right, let's go ahead and pull fire, earth, air, and water, and then we'll talk about them. All right. Fire, earth, oh, I love these cards already, air, water. This is a great week, everyone. Look at these cards. I'm excited for you. All right, let's begin with fire. So this is going to be Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Look at this synchronicity. We have the 10 of Cups, and guess what? The 10 of Cups is reversed once again. So here's the interesting thing. This is almost like music. When we look at it, we see, if you can look closely, we can see like the musical sort of symbols on this, and it's about making your own music. It reminds me of the Mamas and the Papas song, where it's like, make your own kind of music, sing your own kind of song. Maybe that was just Mama Cass that sang that, but either way, This is your chance to be yourself. And being yourself is so hard because sometimes the people that love you the most, particularly the parents or the parent figures in your life, they want to sometimes step in and make sure, is this safe? Is this smart? Wouldn't it be better to do this? Are you sure you want to, why did you break up with that person? Why didn't you keep that job? They just want you to have something predictable and safe so that they don't have to worry about you. But that is vicariously, you're living your life for them, and that's not how you want to do it, because these people may not always be in your life, and then when that happens, you're stuck with what they wanted, not with what you wanted. So we see the peer pressure, the family pressure, and the societal expectations. It's coming from a place of safety and love, but it could put you in a place where you're not doing what you love. Taking a really close look at this card, there's so much opportunity for you, and you can just flip it around. I think the big opportunity for you is to help them see it from a different perspective, right? Because we see this beautiful sort of like blending and moving and shifting energy. So they can come around to see it from your point of view. I know that was true for more so for my mom than my dad, but I had more time with her than I did with my dad. So there were certain things that we didn't agree on. But as got towards the end of her life, it all kind of faded away, and we were just friends. There was hardly even a parent relationship anymore. That had faded. The contract had been already sort of finished at that point. We were just hanging out as friends towards the end. So at that point, there was no longer, and if anything, I was probably helping take care of her, but there was no longer this sort of like need to satisfy. I knew who I was, and she could take it or leave it. And she knew who she was, and I could take it or leave it. And we had been through thick and thin. So you may be surprised. It may not happen quickly. My mom was 80. She wasn't that way when she was 40. When she was 40, she was much more stubborn, and we had much more friction. But 40 years down the line, we were good friends. So you never know where the relationship can go, and you have to walk your path. If I could go back and coach a young version of myself, I would have just said, be yourself much earlier. Be happier much earlier. Choose your path much earlier. They'll come around to you because that energy of love will bend and pull them in the right direction. So just as they can try to use it, you can also say, but this is me. I'm part of you. This is my life. This is my truth. I'm not asking permission. If you want to be a part of it, great. If not, that's your karma and your decision. So trust that people love you enough to celebrate who you are, what you want to do, where you're at. And don't be afraid to ask for help and support. This is underestimating your connection and your impact that you have. Okay? So again, we're talking about fire here. Fire, you have this potential to really tap into friends, family, community, and resources. Typically, this is a people pleaser card when it's reversed. So there's a reminder here that you've done enough of that, and that this is your chance to kind of like get a return on that investment. And that you, at a certain point, have to be happy in your own shoes, in your own skin, in your own life. Okay? And yes, it's a good card for love. But with this card in reverse, it's saying make sure that you feel mind, body, and spirit that this is the right thing. This is the right person. This is the right connection. Okay? Because if it's anything less than what's right, it's not the right time for that. You can't force the heart to feel something that it doesn't. Like Bonnie Raitt said, I can't make you love me if you don't. And she couldn't force her heart to feel something that it didn't. So this is the litmus test. This is the key here. And if it's not ready to engage, it's waiting for the right lock in order to engage with that. Okay? And that's the message for my fire signs. Let's move on to Earth, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. You seem a lot more prepared. It's interesting when I look at energy for a week, a lot of times there'll be similar energies. So I'm seeing a lot of similarity between fire and earth. Earth, you're much more in the energy of receiving and celebrating. You've got the Lovers. And this is fantastic energy. This is quite possibly the biggest magnet card in the deck, in any deck, because it's saying the attraction of someone coming into your life is also coming because of self-love and self-confidence and self-awareness and connection to path, and sometimes even a little bit of detachment. Loving yourself enough to know that it's going to be okay. Trusting yourself enough to know that you don't have to worry. So find some fun and some confidence in this moment in time. Also, really, I love that they're looking eye to eye. Isn't the traditional lovers card kind of boring because they're both separated, they're both looking outward, they're not really touching, there's this big angel around them. This is a much more modern take, which is saying we are active co-creators in this relationship. I love you, you love me. I'm lucky to have you, you're lucky to have me. This is a celebration and a collaboration. So it's a much more modern take on love. That is you. This point in time right now, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, I want you to feel like you're co-creating. Even without that person, if you're single and happy, which good for you, as I always say, if we're looking at that, you still have the capacity to pull people into your life and dance the dance. You can go to a dance and dance with anybody you want to. You have this sort of freedom. So have fun, pull people into your energy if you're in that sort of space, and have some fun. For the rest of you, there's a lot of great partnership energy, divine partnership energy, and there's a balance coming through with this card right now. So prioritization, of course, on relationships is coming through in a heavy way with Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So earth signs, love yourself, hopefully love what you're doing, and definitely spend time with the people that you love. Love with a capital L is the most important thing this week, okay? And it hits all of those facets: inner love, external love, and then activities. Okay, let's go ahead now and focus on my air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So for you, we have the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. You are really busy right now, aren't you? Or you're focusing on learning or releasing a lesson. I love the Eight of Pentacles because it shows that whatever this activity is, it's worth it. You're getting a lot back from it. You're paying attention and seeing things in a way that you never saw them before. So I would say the one thing that's important to you is just to take some time to have fun, although the details can show perspective, so can a break from this work. So talk to somebody, have some fun, take a walk, take a day off, do something to integrate what you're learning and what you've seen. That space, that time off is going to be just as important as whatever this research or I usually see Eight of Pentacles reverse as slightly revisionary. So some of you are looking at, how can I change this? What can I do? So have some fun. Have some fun with whatever you're working on, and it'll all come together. And if you are doing something like training, education, knowledge, acquisition, whatever, it's all going to be good during this period of time. For those of you that are writers or do something with your hands, you produce, you create, you build, this is a good day to get that physical execution done as well, or a good week, I should say, for all of that to get done. It's a productive week for my air signs. You're going to be able to execute on plans, and you're going to be able to get things pushed further along. Not as much people energy as what I was looking at for fire and earth, but you're going to come out of this feeling like, wow, I just got all of this finished and I feel really good about it. A+, check plus. All right, so good week ahead for air signs. A lot of work. Have some fun. That's the one message that I want to remind you of. All right, moving on to my water signs, looking at Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. We have the King of Wands coming through. I like him just as much as Queen of Wands. They're both magical. They're both powerful. What he's really showing us with the lion in the background is courage, and the gecko on his shirt is courage and strength and being able to stand his ground. And when we were looking at the gatekeeper energy that's coming about a week from today for many of you, that is where this is going to come in the most and the best. So for water, even though you may not normally sort of see this energy coming through for you, you've got this. Look at the little wave that I have here as the emoji. This is why water's powerful. It may seem like it's just sort of standing still, but what people can't see is it's starting to gain momentum and gain height and gain power, is that when it finally comes through, something amazing can happen. So you're on the precipice of surprising people with a wave of energy. All you have to do is continue to see that, trust that, and move that forward. King of Wands doesn't always brag, doesn't always communicate what's going on, but he definitely shows it through his actions. So it's bringing this into action and demonstrating. So walk the walk. You don't have to talk the talk. You've already done it. You're just coming through with the final piece over this next week. And it looks like you're going to be able to surprise someone. and maybe overwhelm them with your own sort of approach. It's a good sort of overwhelming. Your energy will wash over them and you're going to be able to get through that door. Okay. So very powerful for the water signs. In fact, quite interesting. Let's take a quick look at all of them and then we'll move on to the next portion. So again, for fire signs, the main thing for you is just not succumbing to peer pressure, not underestimating your own attractiveness, your own ability to tap into your resources. It looks like Earth already learned that, and you have this sort of lovely, engaging energy that you can do whatever you want with. It's collaborative, it's celebratory. It's also really good for getting work done. So this is a good managing card and a good overseeing card because people want to connect with that sort of energy. My air signs are getting a lot of work done. We've got some very productive energy going on here. I want them to have some more fun like some of the other signs are doing. So step back a little bit and get your perspective. But at the end of this week, everyone else will be playing catch up to you because you've got everything finished. And now when we look at my water signs, you are going to be able to surprise somebody. Because you've been building up this potential and this momentum, and it's just ready. Whenever you're ready to kind of open the gates, the floodgates, that's when things start to happen. All right. It's a great week. Look at all of these cards. Look at what we just came through. So I like that. I like that when I can see that we're headed in a good direction. All right. So we're going to look at viewers and readers' choice quickly, and then we'll move on to the main topic for today. So as I am looking at all of this stuff, let me go ahead and just do an inset so you can see what I'm seeing here. We've got a lot of cards in front of us. Let me put some things out for you to vote on and we'll go from there. All right, so I'm looking at this. So yeah, we're gonna just take a look at gatekeeper energy here. So how to move beyond gatekeepers. That would be question number 1 that I would put out for you to vote on. The next question is allocation of resources, how to achieve a better balance. And the other thing that I'm looking at here is the world, and I want to see like how to begin again. These are hard choices, guys. Good luck with those. I like them all. We don't have time to look at them all. So make a choice that is most connected to you. And I'm going to look at these here. You know, I want to help you a little bit with the manifestation card that popped up here. And so this was really believing in yourself. So I'm going to see if there's a general message about how you can better believe or connect to what you believe. We'll go from there. All right. So let's see, how can you manifest? I'm just going to put that. What can you do to be the best possible manifester, I should say, in your own life? And it's exactly the card that I asked for earlier, or that I featured earlier, which was, I'm going to pull up the card here so we can see it. Okay, so first of all, let's pull up the thing that I had, and then we have the ace in reverse. So I pulled Ace of Pentacles in reverse for manifestation. And then one of your final slides today was to make a wish, and I had the Ace of Pentacles there. So the universe, like I said, was asking you, are you ready to invest in your dream? If you've experienced a setback, are you willing to look at the lesson of the setback, but not see the setback as a pattern, as a stop, as a block? We're going to be looking past the blocks in a second, so don't worry. Because if you can go beyond all of these things, the universe is saying, hello, this is like Jack and the Beanstalk here. Can you see it growing? This is the bean that he planted, and that's the beanstalk behind him. This is like a fairy tale deck. So when you plant the seed of hope or investment, not only does it grow, but it surpasses your expectations. And you may be busy playing some catch up, particularly I think it would be my non-air signs this week. Some of you may be surprised at how quickly something happens. The air signs won't. But it will happen quicker than you think, and you might have to then start to think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do to make this happen? Okay. So don't second guess yourself. Don't underestimate your potential. Don't waste a minute more not planting a seed. So basically act now, plant a seed, and you're going to see something happen faster than you thought. Let's see which one or ones you guys have chosen for me, because I was curious if it was going to tie. How to begin anew. All right, we got a clear winner. I'm surprised because it was a tough selection. All right, let's go ahead now. Shuffle the cards and see how can we get into the energy of the world card. How can you begin anew? Guess what? We got the King of Wands. Interesting. Lots of synchronicities as we're doing this reading, and I'm not surprised because we should be looking at similar energies as I go through different decks. This particular card reminds me a lot of, even though it's not a phoenix, it looks more like a peacock. It reminds me a lot of that ability to rise above that we would see in the Judgment card. But because I'm seeing what looks like a peacock here, because I'm looking at the feathers here, one of the important things for you to do as you're stepping into something new is to feel this energy that I'm proud to be. I'm not just proud, but I'm also grateful for this new start. It might be scary, but I have a chance right now to think something new, to dream a new dream, right? So go boldly into that unknown. It kind of sounds like I'm a Star Trek right now. To boldly go where you've never gone before. Enter into this new moment with that the energy that we talked about earlier of the sun here, that confidence. And we see the confidence here with what looks like peacock feathers as well. Think to yourself, not can I do it, but I can do this. And I can't remember which sign I was doing this for. It may have been Scorpio or Sag, because it would have been at the end of the week. But I was talking about the importance of turning questions, particularly when they are confidence questions, into statements. So, will I succeed? Can I do this? Am I ready? I will succeed. I can do this. I am ready. Just flip it around. Flip around the insecurity and make it something that is a secure statement. That's what you're going to do to step into the unknown. Whatever you're insecure about, almost every question can be made into a statement. I remember this from my English and journalism days. And you can also make them active too. So not like, no passive tense. Make, I am doing this. This will happen. And, be the verb in the sort of equation. Don't hope that something possibly, maybe, sort of, be very clear on that. So making the wish, as we talked about earlier, and then really being confident and bold and sort of like thinking that this is sort of a discovery, right? The unknown, what's going out there. So that Star Trek energy that I was talking about, not the worst thing. Imagine that you can go into the unknown and see what's there, because you can. And anything's possible. And you're going to try to enter into that with the sense of discovery, possibility, excitement, not fear, not frustration. Ultimately, the King of Wands is a boss, and you're being asked to be the boss, to be the leader, and to be strong, to have courage. Even if on some level you're kind of like faking the courage a little bit, people will see that you're taking that leap, and they're going to be there and support you. So there you go. That's my answer to your question. All right, I'm going to stack up all the cards here and think about which decks we might be voting on today. You can throw a couple of recommendations in chat while I'm getting stuff ready. And I'm going to take a look and see what's calling to me. I'm not going to reuse the one that I did for the 7-day because I feel like we got enough out of this one, the field one, but I'm going to look at some other ones while you're thinking about this. So throw out some recommendations and we will see what's coming. All right. So one that I definitely want to pull out here, pull the camera down while we're talking. I'll put the Wild Unknown as one of the potential decks. And you can throw out any other recommendations as I'm doing this that you'd like to see. Star Seekers, great recommendation. I forget about that even though it's on the side. So these are good. We haven't used those yet. Let's see. We had Lights here, so I could put it back in. Thank you for Revelations. I'll definitely include that. I haven't used that in a while. So let's take a look and see if I can find it. There we go. All right, so we have Wildwoods, Star Seekers, Revelations. Steampunk is out there. Modern Witch is good too. Let's see, Luna. Let's see. Okay, there's a bunch of good ones. I wish I could put more things to be voted on here, but I'm going to see which one we haven't used in a while. I don't use the Thoth deck that much. I do have it, but it's way out there. I put Aphrogoddess all the time, but it never gets chosen. let's see. I don't always use light seers, by the way. You guys always choose it. Let me take a look at some other ones here. All right, I'm going to go into something that hasn't even, I'm just going to try to find something we haven't looked at in a long time as well. So give me 1 second to pick something older and different. The steampunk one wasn't the worst question. Same thing with modern witch. Those are both good. Steampunk and modern witch, I think, are both. Let's see here. All right, I'm going to just go with the modern witch. I think we have enough with these. Okay, these are different. They haven't been used in a while. These are all pretty good, especially these, especially that. I haven't used that in a while. So let me go ahead and set the poll up, and we'll go from here. And I may ask for some more recommendations on my community page because I want to try to maybe buy 4 or 5 new decks and put them into rotation. Okay, so let's go ahead and vote on this and get into the special topic for today. So we have Wild Wood, one of my faves. We have Star Seeker Tarot. We have Revelations, and we have Modern Witch. I think these are really good, very different choices, so thanks everybody. All right, so here are your choices. Let me show you a couple of these, and then I'm gonna get a straw for my drink as we're talking. So this is the Wildwood. If you've never seen it, it's got this really cool sort of earthy, druid-like energy to it and a lot of animal totems. So if you're an animal person, this is a great deck to choose. This is one of my new ones, and it's from an artist on Etsy, and it has some of the same energy that you would see in the Field Tarot, flatter, kind of like sort of pseudo flat 2D things with like 3D textures on it. And it's a modern sort of take on the traditional imagery here. It's really nice, actually, a beautiful deck, okay? And then this is Revelations, which I talked about earlier. There is kind of like no reversals in this one. You're always gonna see both sides. So this is for people that don't like reversals, but you kind of get the energy of upright and reverse no matter how you slice it. So it's unique because not many decks do that. And then Modern Witch, which is a modern retake or retelling of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Nice bold colors, very cool representation throughout the deck, and a couple of unique different sort of interpretations, but it's pretty, I would say it's like 90% Rider-Waite-Smith. This one's very different, this one's very different, and this one's maybe like 70%, but it takes its own sort of changes here. All right, so I'm gonna get a straw while you guys finish voting. It looks like Revelations is the winner. I'm surprised. Okay. All right, yeah, we've got a 42% winner with Revelations. The people have spoken. So let me go ahead and put the other cards away. I'll give it a chance to finish up the poll just to make sure that I didn't miss anything, and then we'll go to Revelations. And yeah, I may still pull some other cards here for anything in the expanded if I feel like it, but this is the one that won. All right, Revelations is cool, and I haven't used it in a while. It looks very abstract. You'll see it as I start to pull here. Much like my first deck that I used, I have to basically use my third eye a lot more with this deck because it's not all spelled out. All right, let me just get my display set up here, and let's take a look at it. So again, the special topic today is Energy Alchemist, transforming a block into an opportunity. So one of the things that we'll be looking at today really is what is the block, as we look at sort of some of the past cards, and what are the opportunities that are opening up? How can we get around any potential blocks that are in our lives? It's fun to look at it, isn't it? These are very sort of like, there's a like multi-layers in each of these sort of illustrations. Slightly dense because there's a lot to take in, but they're very cool. This was actually a gift from another friend of mine that's an astrologist. So I appreciate this. They were out at a shop once, took some pictures, and they said, "Which deck do you want?" I said, "Oh, how cool." I said, "Okay, I'll do this. It's something I've never seen before." Yeah, it does kind of have a comic book look to it. The main thing that's interesting with it is you, like with a traditional Rider-Waite Smith spread, you can just look at it and you see the story. For this one, we'll have to go into each card and the story will reveal itself. Ooh, I love all the star energy we got. We have Sirius Star Blessing, then we have the Starfish up here, which is fantastic because it contains within it the ability to heal itself and begin anew, which is cool. All right, let me just zoom out a little bit since we have a lot of cards on the table, and we'll go from here. Okay, so let's begin with Lord Ganesh, and the card is Splendor. If we look really close, there's all these beautiful butterflies. We have the peacock at the top there, that same feather that we saw coming through for the question you chose for me. And what I see here is the ability for you to trust that there's going to be like more than enough. Trusting in the abundance and in your ability to create this abundance. I think sometimes we create a narrative in our head of a lack of ability, a lack of abundance, a lack of love. And this card is just giving me that feeling that everything is going to be okay, and sometimes just believing that it will work out. Maybe that, right now it may not feel okay, and you may think to yourself, will it ever be? This is like more of something that we think of as a kid too, like, will it ever be easier? Am I ever going to get this? Am I ever going to ... So this is sort of putting in here the thought, the sort of seed that I can't wait for this to happen. I'm looking forward to this. I believe it's going to be all right. I'll make it work. I'm going to make this okay. Like I said at the beginning of today's reading, I said, let's make this a great reading. I truly enter every single reading with the desire and the belief that we're going to make a difference. And if you can do that in your day and in every activity and in every conversation, you'll make a difference. It's going to feel different than it did if you just kind of go in and think like, what can happen, or do I have any power? Am I going to do something? So let's take the questions out, let's take the doubt out, and let's trust that some splendor, some joy, some abundance is coming into your life. But there's butterflies all around Ganesha here. So basically this lovely deity is reminding us that change is the key to the splendor, to the happiness, to the joy. Okay? Let's take a look at the cards now. I'm going to zoom a little closer so we can see the stuff in the center. Okay, so we have very interesting energy here, and this definitely would feel like more of a block. So here's our first block. Four of Swords is a lot of times a feeling that I'm not seeing anything happen. Crickets, right? So for some of you, let's imagine that maybe you're a job seeker and you've put out an application and nothing's happening. Or you went out and you dated somebody, maybe that's been a few dates, maybe it's been a while, but either they don't answer or they drag their feet and they're not getting back to you. That is an answer. That's basically saying this person isn't ready. This place isn't ready to receive, or they don't have the resources to invest what you need. So there could be one of two things that you could do. One is to work on self-sufficiency. So in a relationship, the thing that will get the other person calling you is thinking, I don't need that person, I'm okay. Or I'm focusing on other things, I'm busy. I got other things going on. And then they're like, what's going on? I wonder what that person's doing. So when you focus a lot less on why haven't they called, just think to yourself, what else can I do? Who else can I connect with that actually is going to answer the phone? That's usually what I do. If somebody doesn't answer, I figure they're busy. I try someone else. And if someone else is busy, then I figure out something to do on my own. I'm like, well, that's not where I'm supposed to put my energy. Those two sources aren't right. Let's see what I can work on. What can I do? And I focus internally instead. So you're being asked to either look within, develop your own energy within, or not to go there. So the harder it is, everything takes a little bit of work. And there are certain things like, particularly if you're in athletics and you're trying to get a certain championship or award or go to the Olympics, that's going to take work. And there's going to be a lot of levels and there'll be setbacks. But in life, let's say if you have to try time and time and time again, and you're never getting what you put into it, or there's always a stop or a block or a no, that is the universe saying, let it go. And this is a peaceful letting it go card. Sometimes, like in modern day, this could be sort of like ghosting someone. So I feel like there could be someone or something in your life where it's not meant to be, but whoever is in the decision-making ability or capacity in this place, or whoever you're working with, they just don't want to say it. So if somebody shows it but doesn't say it, showing it is saying it, and trust that this just isn't it. And that's okay, because guess what's crossing this card? Success, 6 of Wands. For those of you that you're used to always being busy, 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 everything is always working, this is saying just take a break, because more is coming, more is en route to you, right? So I think that's the key thing here, all right? When we see the upright 4 of Swords, he's sleeping. When we see the reverse one here, there's someone who's kind of struggling with that. So even though it's not reversed, there is this questioning inside, like, will it ever start up again? Am I going to be okay? Do I have permission to sleep? Take a break, take a rest, trust that whatever's falling away is falling away for a reason. Focus on what is right. This is back to the original slide that I had, do what's right, not what's popular. Because when you do what's right, a lot of times you'll get people behind you that are like, yeah, that's what I've been waiting for. I'm so glad someone's done or said this. You'll actually find people that are like ready to support you and ready to do the right thing. You might be ahead of the curve a little bit. So sometimes doing what's right isn't what's popular, but through the lens of history, there's a more popular view on the people that did the right thing, not the popular thing. So future-proof your decision-making right now by thinking of doing what's right and what feels right, not what's popular. And even if you lose some support along the way, that's going to be the better path. One other thing that can happen with this, because we're looking at it from the potential block point here, is if you only try to appease, succeed, or do what's expected, you can dilute what is powerful. So that's why a lot of times there's a sophomore slump for musicians, because it's almost better if their first album isn't super successful and they find their voice on their second, because then they can kind of do whatever they want. When they hit it out of the park with the best thing first, then they try to repeat instead of trying to evolve or finding that happy mix between the two. So don't hit the sophomore slump in something that you're doing. If something worked before, it may not always work the same way. So continue to move and evolve and change as you see fit. Okay, no more sophomore slumps allowed. As we look in your deep past, the same energy that came through at the beginning of the week, I think it was for Monday, correct, is coming through here. And it's the same sort of energy of a cup reversed, and you can look at it in either way. So let's start with why Ace of Cups can come through reversed. Some of you have just been in a role where you give and give and give. And it's sort of like, why am I doing so much for so many people, but they don't give back? So one of the things that you can do in this moment in time is simply ask. Say, could you help me with this? Do you have a moment? Could we talk? So letting people know that you are also needing to receive, because if you've never done it, they're just not used to it. So you have to pull the channel in the right direction and say, okay, it's a little overwhelming right now. I need some help with this, or I need some advice, or what do you think? You can always start with that sort of a entry point. What do you think about this? Or I've been thinking about this. Does that sound good to you? You know, you can kind of like put a question in there to sort of open it up and let them know that you need something. Many of you just need to let it out, let it go. Maybe a good cry, a good yell, a good something to kind of get that energy out. So the block is that you've been holding it in or you haven't been asking for what you need. And so therefore the heart is out of balance. So you've got to pull the heart chakra into a good space. And the sooner that you do that, the better. And again, there's that reflective energy here. So sometimes it seems like I've messed up or this is not working. And it's really just your heart saying, slow down, heal yourself. It'll be okay. And again, that's why I think if we look at these cards in succession here, take a rest, celebrate the successes, trust and kind of connect to what it is you're trying to do, and then let go of anything that was disappointing. Let go of anything that you couldn't control. This is a release. Okay, so just letting go of some sort of an emotional connection to something is going to be the biggest way you can heal yourself. All right? So the next one here is, by the way, if you have your video out of focus, just go ahead and refresh your connection. That's all it is. All right, so the next thing here is the Three of Wands here in reverse. With the Three of Wands card, this is very interesting, especially when we look at the reverse state of this. Let's look at the upright. So the upright card, we can actually see three people working together. And we see also, if you just think of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, it would be someone that's looking around them enough to understand that what they're trying to accomplish is already en route. It's already happening, okay? So I think what's important for you to kind of focus on is maybe what I'm hoping for is already happening. Maybe it's already en route. Maybe I was just imagining that something was going to take longer. So open yourself up to the idea that it could happen now. This could be underway. It could be already starting to take form or take shape. This person in the reverse state is distracted. They're also, I like to talk about the Three of Wands. It can be a passive card sometimes because you could be waiting for someone to come to you. And I think it's important to be willing and ready to meet someone or something halfway, because it could not, that is actually a great way for it to happen faster. I'm going to find the card real quick while we're talking, and I'll let you see the traditional one. Typically, you'll see the person up on a hill. Here it is. They're waiting. It's probably one of my favorite cards in the Minor Arcana because it's bright, because it's indicative of success. But why not go a little closer to the shore? Why not meet them out there to let them know, yeah, not only have I seen this coming, but I've been ready for it, and welcome. It's be the welcoming committee. And imagine that it's happening right here and right now, okay? So this one, the focus is on, but I need to focus on this and I want this right now, and realize that sometimes manifestation is patchwork and something happens when it needs to happen, and you just need to be ready to be there, okay? Awesome, all right. So let's go to the next card here. So, by the way, I'm looking at the monitor. For those of you that are having issues, there's no issues on my monitor. A lot of times when you have if you're looking at it on a cellular phone or if you're looking at it on an old sort of connection, it could just be off a little bit. So let's just pay attention and stop talking about the video quality unless there's a major issue. And Dakota, you can just let me know if you see anything. Okay. All right, Four of Wands. I love this Four of Wands. So what we see with the Four of Wands here is the details. Look at all these little sticky notes, all of these pasties basically in there, and like it's kind of like a sea of opportunity. And the Four of Wands here is saying, you've got so much going on right now. What do you really, how are you going to bring some focus to this? And also, who are you going to pull in? I feel like if we've ever seen a card here that's asking for an assistant or anything with respect to sort of like getting organized, this card is basically saying that. All right, so this is for some of you that are used to always being the one that's controlling things. This card is saying there could be an advantage here to letting go of some things, to delegating, and bringing someone in that you trust. The Four of Wands is definitely a card that requires trust in whoever it is that you bring in. But when you do that, think of like the Six of Cups card that we looked at earlier. It's going to be quite beneficial, okay? Because then they have your back, and you can then just go into the role of being creative, being in the moment, being sort of in your sweet spot. So you don't have to do everything. One of the one card pulls that I pulled this week was the Seven of Wands, and it is about sort of what we talked about earlier, doing less but doing it better, pushing back and saying no. Six of Pentacles has some of the same energy, which also came through for you. So by limiting scope and by focusing on what really matters, you can make an impact. And it can happen faster than you think, as we just talked about with the Three of Wands card. There could be a new friendship coming into your life. There could be new love coming into your life. Someone wants to help you. That's what I see with this. You could miss it, though, because it doesn't come through in the way that you expect it. There is disarray, there is disorder in this Four of Wands. So it's kind of like if you're looking for something in a store and you expect that it's going to take a certain shape or form, but there's like the perfect match that just comes in a different package. You got to look past the marketing, past the expectations, and you might find someone that is perfect, just not what you expected. Okay? So be able to be surprised, and I think that's going to be great. All right. Let's go ahead now and take a look at your near future. So this is really what's going to be able to bring you into the next phase here. We have Judgment, it's upright, and as we're looking at this, at the Judgment card, remember back to what I talked about earlier. Let's actually pull the card up for a second here from my presentation, if I can find it. When we were looking at the keynote, it was the first slide. Here we go. All right, so here is what we talked about. Basically, you're being given a chance to cancel or reset or release a karmic cycle. Some of that comes from the emotion of the past here, the Ace of Cups. The rest of it is in believing in yourself and believing that there is more to the story, that this was just the first chapter. There's more to come. So let's look at this card real close. I'm going to look at it on my own, and then I'm going to show it to you. All right, so if you look really closely here, we see the angel, usually Gabriel if you want here, and we see Gabriel's horn, and we see someone absolutely surrendering to the call. That's what I see when I look at that. In the reversal here, we see someone trying to control the message or listen for it. So you've already heard the call in the upright position. So the main message for you is, why haven't you done something? Or what are you afraid of when it comes to this opportunity in front of you? Don't be afraid. Sometimes we're just afraid because it's different, or because someone in our life may judge us harshly or differently because of what we decide to do. So if it's clear, if you're clear, it's right, and that's from source. So don't block yourself because other people are asking questions that don't make sense, okay? That's their block. Kind of like what we were talking about here, it's their connection. Not everyone has the same connection to source. So just like we all have different internet connections, and sometimes things are clear for some people, but not for others, and like, it's coming through clear. It's the same thing when it comes to messages that you're receiving, okay? So if you're getting it clearly and other people aren't, that's okay. Also, here's a bigger question for you. For those of you that keep putting off your dream, so maybe it's sort of like, well, I'll do that when I retire, or I'll do this when I've saved up some money, or one day when I'm not under my parents' control, I'm going to do this. When are you going to choose to embrace the happiness or the path or the calling? Because we don't have guarantees on future milestones. We do on today, and we can kind of control tomorrow and next week, but the further out you get on that timeline, the less guarantee that you have of achieving something. So choose to do something you love sooner than later, and if you have the calling, change the course now, because it's easier now. It will be difficult in the future, okay? We have a lot of synchronicities in the cards that have been coming through today, which I love. Look, just taking a moment to look at this, we have Judgment, which a bunch of them that have already come up here. The Ace of Cups, the Judgment card, the Lovers coming through again, and the Hierophant as the final card. And he was the final card of the 7-day forecast as well. Lots of synchronicities. Let's move on to what's coming through with you in your heart and your soul and your ego. This is the big thing for you. Do you love yourself as much as others do? Do you see the value that you have to give to others? Do you see yourself as the equal participant? The way that when I was looking at, I believe it was the Earth signs, got the Lovers this week, but we got the Lovers energy here. What I love is that this particular card shows the the fine line between love and hate, or between the Lovers and the Devil card, because what many of you have overcome, and there still may be a little bit of doubt, is the sort of like a puppet master that is the devil, that we can kind of see in the Lovers reversed, that's controlling things or walking behind the scenes, versus the detached, overseeing, benevolent energy of the angel here in the Lovers, which is saying, all I did was set it up. You are the one that did it. You are the one that can do this. And that is why I don't focus solely on love reads, everybody. Because you have the power to pull in the relationships. Everything I'm doing in this reading will help you find somebody, because you're going to be a better, happier, more sort of established person. I'll focus on the people and the love when it comes up in the area in the reading. But what we're seeing here is that you've already got what it takes. So love yourself, trust yourself, and don't accept anybody less than that same sort of energy in your life. If your partner isn't supporting you, if your friends aren't, if your parents aren't, then when are you going to choose this calling? Because they're all angels in these cards, by the way. So in Judgment, there's like a whole sort of like symphony of angels around you, right? And there's that big calling coming through. And then in this one, we have also an angel saying, you're blessed. This is your path. If you do what you're supposed to do and what you're called to do, then more love and abundance comes through for you. So trust the calling. And if anybody doesn't want you to be yourself, or doesn't allow you to kind of step into that truth, what are you doing? Why are you spending time and energy with them, right? You deserve more. But you've already attracted something beautiful, and it's already coming. And the Three of Wands tells me that even if you can't see that person, they are coming. Even if you can't see that opportunity, they're within reach. So detach a little bit, because that is the beauty of this angel here. It's not controlling it. So angels of the light, don't interfere. You have to ask them. We had to call the angels in. They're not going to just hang out around me. You have your own guardian angel, and you have your ascended masters and all of that stuff. But when we're really working with archangelic energy, it is not going to interfere with free will. Now, the lower frequency energies, they try to get in the way, don't they? But the higher frequencies don't. And that's the challenge, because sometimes we only see the low frequencies. Call in the light, call in the path, trust yourself, and dismiss the low frequencies. Because there could be a few tests around you, and you are ready for that higher love and that higher light. What's going on around you? Here's your tricky card. Here's the biggest potential block. So if I had to pick an aha one for today, it would be the Seven of Swords. It's what's going on around you. So the Seven of Swords, accountability could be lacking in your job, in your relationship, or in your family. There could be someone who disappointed you. They said they were going to do something. They didn't do something. You sort of knew it was happening, but you had to wait for that to happen. There could also be an inner reckoning happening where you've told yourself a white lie so that you could get through something. Sometimes we do that for survival. It's not something to beat yourself up over. But there is a reckoning that's happening where you could say to yourself, if I truly want to be happy and healthy, I have to be honest about whatever's not working. So either someone or something around you has kind of like awakened you to something that's been broken, or under the surface, that's the judgment energy. I know, I've been told, I'm receiving the message, but I'm somehow not ready to do something about it. So your big block right now is just honesty and accountability. If you can be honest and accountable to yourself, everything will come into focus for those that are lacking that. If you're already there, but the people around you are lacking it, then you deserve better, and you're going to find better. This was the past. That's the old you. Someone calling the shots and pulling the strings. This is the new you. You're a co-creator with the universe. You don't need that person to validate you anymore in the background, because it was conditional energy. Do this and then you get this. I'll love you as long as you do this. If you're more like this, then I'll like you more. If you could only be this, then maybe it would work. All of those conditions, no more time for that, right? Walk away from anything like, especially if you're getting a flashing red light that I don't know, there might be something to this, or I don't feel good about this. If you get that sense as well, you're picking up on that Seven of Swords. So something around you needs to be cleared. It's environmental though. I don't feel like it's as much within. Maybe there's a little residual, I need to come to terms with it, but it really does come up in the environment. So person, place, or thing is coming through and it's trying to pretend that it's something that it's not, and you're going to see through that and you're going to move past that. It's not a block, it's a distraction. And it's not so much a block as it is kind of like an anchor that you need to release. When we look at hopes, fears, and opportunities, we have the necessary move that's going to get you away from this. So the Ten of Wands can be moving from one job to another, one relationship to another, one physical location to another. But it does take a little bit of work. So let's pull the card while we're talking. I can multitask. So usually on the Ten of Wands, you will see a burdened person. They're carrying a heavy load and they think to themselves, how am I going to do this? And I'm a little tired. And like the little kids, where will we get there? Why is this taking so long? So the main sort of mental block that you're going through at this moment in time is not succumbing to all of those little pre-recorded fears and doubts and uncertainties that so often pop up when we see the Ten of Wands. So let me just pull this close because I have a little tiny deck here that I keep to the side for reference. So Ten of Wands, I would say like maybe like 9 times out of 10, not 10 out of 10, but you'll see someone where they're just a little bit tired. They're just a little bit burdened with this. And some of you need a way to kind of let go of some of that energy. Let's pull this card up close and see what we're seeing here. You can actually see that they accurately displayed that sometimes the back is where this is held. So the Ten of Wands can indicate that one more straw, and like it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? There's one more straw that could figuratively be what breaks your patience or your concentration. For those of you that do any sort of physical lifting or manual labor, it could also just be a warning that your body is just on that precipice of getting sick, or you could have an injury. So be careful. Pace yourself, listen to your body, take a break if you need to, rather than giving up. If we go back to the center, like the whole key to success is here, rest. Rest and reset so that you can push through and get to that horizon here. Sometimes you see a mountain that the Ten of Wands figure is climbing. Sometimes we see them coming down like they do on the light seers. Sometimes they're climbing up. In this one, it's more of a flat plane, but we see them going to a future destination. So it's always worth the journey, but that last phase of the journey is typically the trickiest. So resetting yourself on how to be okay with that is going to be key. I'm just noticing we're way over time, so I'm going to do my best to get through this in the right amount of time. One thing that I might have to do as we move forward is just sort of like take out viewers and readers' choice on this one, I've decided, because, or do a different sort of pull, because I do end up going a little longer, but hopefully you all are enjoying this. I am. All right, so I'm just going to keep going at the pace that I need to go, and then I'll look at the organization later. All right, the most important card is the Gatekeeper, the Hierophant, and he's reversed. So I actually like a reversed Hierophant, FYI. It's the reverse of this. This is my way or the highway. This is you can only pass if you have the proper word, blah, blah, blah. This one is saying, why? I can go this direction. I can go this direction. I have this idea. There's a new way to go about this, right? So you have to use your own key, your own path. The whole thing with this is that you're supposed to be slightly rebellious, slightly different on this, okay? So there's a new calling, there's a new reckoning, there's a new idea. And this card, more than any of them, is confirmation that that is the way to success. And let me see if I can find him again. He was towards the end. But you saw it before when we were looking at the gatekeeping energy of that. You have to give up one key to get the other one. You can just rewind in the video. But the Hierophant always has those two keys interlocked beneath him. So one is that this particular guy is just saying, like, you know, you have to have this key, but you've always had the second one. And I just see that thing in the center as kind of like a door that needs to be turned. So just turn the door and show them anyway. One of the best things, kind of like as you become an adult, is realizing that you don't have to prove that you're right. You don't have to argue with someone who isn't going to listen. You just have to move on. And in time, they're going to see just through your own success and your own journey that you knew what you were doing. So don't spin your wheels, okay? And that's the truth there. So we're going to quickly go through the expanded forecast here. Or again, I'm not going to rush. Everyone's sticking around, so we're just going to talk. We'll go through the expanded forecast right now, looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And I'm going to take each one of these as, are you blocked or are you open? A slightly different approach because I want to, or what can you change? It's not the usual read on this one. I'm going to look at it, is there a block? And can you change that if there is a block? All right. Let's start with your health card. We have what looks to me a lot like the Queen of Wands here. Peaceful Warrior, it says, thank you for helping me stand my ground with peace. And we're working with Archangel Ariel in this particular card. So what is it that's blocking you, or what is it that you can focus on? Standing your ground, confidence, and really she comes through to help you with the gatekeeper. She's peaceful. So what she's not going to do is throw daggers. There's no Ten of Swords and there's no Queen of Swords reversed here. She's saying, that's fine. I've got another plan. Thank you for your opinion. Thanks for your insight. I didn't ask for it, or I don't need it. She's not going to be bothered that much. She's just going to go her own way. And if she has to stand her ground, she'll say, I hear what you're saying, but you're missing something. You can also advocate to be heard. I've been listening to you for 10 minutes. It's my turn to talk now. And you do it in that calm demeanor. So be strong, be calm, make sure that you're heard. And if you can't get what you need, find another way. Talk to a different person, find another path. She's not going to give up. She's a warrior. But she is going to fight the right fight and fight with the energy that makes sense. So this is, for many of you in a relationship, knowing when communication has broken down and when to find a different person, way, or sort of like opportunity to get around that person. I do feel like you're going to be taking a curve around somebody that just won't listen anymore. Just general message about health this month. Let's see. Definitely focusing on making sure that you've gotten enough rest. If you're not rested, you can't do this. Speaking of which, that's why I have to go to bed like an old person now at 8 or 9 o'clock until I find a new house, because it's weird doing these earlier readings. It's very peaceful, which is why I'm talking longer, because nobody's awake. But I've had to make sure that I get the rest in. So make sure you're getting enough sleep. The other thing that comes through here is finding a way to get organized. I do like the organizational energy of the Hierophant. So organize your thoughts and your activities, and then make a few changes here and there. You've got to find the order before you can break the rules, and that came through before. When it comes to health, I'm going to go back to the Seven of Swords as well. The biggest thing that you need to do is to be honest with yourself and make sure that you're ready for the next thing that you need to do. Because until you're truly ready, you kind of haven't accepted what's been delivered to you. So this is knowing what you need to do. And this one is admitting, accepting, and deciding that enough is enough on that. Okay? Let's go ahead now and move from health to wealth. I love that we got the Sirius star blessing. Sirius is one of my favorite stars, and I believe, is that in Orion's belt? I'll have to look at it. I think it is. But it's one of the brightest stars in the night sky. And what this is saying is, yes, proceed, be seen, push through. So for all of you that really want to make a splash, make something happen, this is underlining what we already saw with the Three of Wands, which is it's happening. It's here. Look beyond, right? This is an affirmative. For those of you that were wondering, should I do it? Yes. Yes, you should make that leap of faith or take that movement that you need to. Yes, proceed, be seen, push through. It's the star card. It's a strong star at that. And this is not a time to blend into the wallpaper. And that was something that I talked about with that single card pull that I did with the sun. Stand up, be seen, throw on your heart light like that old E.T. theme song. Really be seen, okay? I feel like some of you have been waiting maybe for someone to give you permission, or someone to pass away, or someone to step aside. And this card is saying, remember I talked about the changing of the guard. You don't have to wait for any of these arbitrary things to happen. Just shine. And I mentioned before the binary stars. Your light does not erase their light. And in the universe, there's room for billions and billions, as Carl Sagan would say, of stars. So you're among them. Now is the time. Act now, basically. Let me see if there's anything else that we need to see here. You're not alone. You have support. You might benefit from having someone help you clear out your space a little bit as well. I do think that some of you just have a lot going on and you need an assistant or you need some support there. Trust yourself. You may be getting to a point in your life where you don't need to check your intuition or check things so much. You're receiving, the channel's open, but there's perhaps just second guessing or doubting that's going on. When we're looking at money, let's see, I don't think we got any pentacles here, right? So we did in the 7-day forecast, and just for the sake of time here, I'm not going to pull a clarifying card. What I'm going to say instead is, you know what to do, and if somebody is not coming through and delivering on their promise, it's time to move on. And this is a card of rising up from the ashes. So I feel like some of you have been promised something and you didn't receive it, which is why it's absent. So that is all you need to know, is that they fell short on that. There's a lot of, this is moving on, this is moving on, this is doing something different. This is loving yourself enough to do all of these things. And this is knowing that once you do it, there's someone else there that's, both of these cards, you're going to have someone that supports you. You have a support system, or you'll create one, because whatever's around you, it feels like it could be better. I think there needs to be an upgrade in the environment when it comes to what you are working on or who you're working with. Looking at love and relationships, we have intuitive and downloads here. Intuition and downloads. And this is, as we said earlier, a quintessential card for downloads. Literally, he's at the receiving end of the message from Archangel Gabriel. So trust in what you're receiving with respect to relationships. Quickly moving through the relationship types. I'm not going to go too deep on each of these because that's not the big focus today, but I will highlight on it. So starting first for those that are in a relationship, it's all about trust and honesty. There could be someone around you that is trying to get in between the two of you. This is environmental. It's not necessarily the core of the relationship. So we got to get to that fear or that doubt or that uncertainty first. It feels like there's a lack of energy and activity in the relationship. So maybe one partner got a little bit lazy or one partner's just checked out a bit. And the main thing here is to ground one another in the fact that we are friends. We want this to work. I want to know that you're there for me and vice versa. Like, decide on whether you want to go or stay. And when you do that, it's fine. But if you choose to move on, it's going to be all right too. But there has to be this sort of reckoning because one or both of you are feeling like things are off a little bit. It could just be this environmental thing. So fix the environment first and see if that doesn't sort out the relationship. Because again, at the core, there's a lot to love. If you're looking for love this month, I feel like you need to move on or make a move. All of the energy for those that are seeking love is right here. You know what to do. You know that something isn't working around you. The movement and the decision to move beyond this, that's all that matters. Yes, love is incoming. Yes, it could be a sure thing. Yes, there could be a little bit of an age difference, but until you get through all of this stuff, none of these things matter. So you got to clean up the environment first. And then I see the potential for love. And this person, something about them surprises you. They are an old soul in a young body, or they don't act their age, but in a good way. And you just have to kind of go with it. There's something there that's kind of different. They don't match the marketing or the packaging, but as long as you like what's on the inside, that's what matters the most. If you're single and happy, good for you, as I always like to say. Success, big changes and big moves. And this is a time to be bold, as we talked about with career. You're going to make a splash this month. People are going to love what you do. And you, ironically, because you're not focused on love, may have some suitors knocking at the door. But you have to be very discerning. Everybody gets to be picky this month, actually, because love and love are all around you. And unless you get that higher love, it's not worth the investment. Let's end with the Destiny card. We have a big idea after this, but the Destiny first. The self-healing starfish. Just like propagating a plant, there are many starfish that can actually split down the middle and then they grow their other half back. There are many sea stars or starfish, when they lose a leg, they can grow it back. Sometimes that leg can also grow a full star depending on how much of the center portion it has. It is an amazingly resilient symbol. You are not incomplete. You are not done. There is more to come. You are capable of beginning anew. Both of these are cards of reincarnation, rebirth, and phoenix rising from the ashes. So this is also a big old Ace of Pentacles, isn't it? It's a star, and stars are pentacles, and pentacles are resources, and resources are opportunities. So there's something new awaiting you. Failure was just context to help you understand who you are, what you can do, and that you have this bounce back ability. So trust in that, okay? You can heal, you can recover, more to come. This is not done. The starfish doesn't give up. It's not lost. Even if it loses a piece of itself, it finds some other way. It always finds a way, okay? So you will be complete again if you feel incomplete. You are already complete. Someone else didn't complete you. You just have to fill it back, fill that void with your own energy, with your own sort of vision. All right, because I want to make sure that I pull this card because it's an important card, let's look at the big idea and let's see what's coming through. I'm glad everybody's cool with the time. It is what it is. If you want the shorter videos, look at my one card pulls on the other social media platforms. What I do here is I channel, and sometimes I channel a lot, and it's free, so enjoy. And we seem to be keeping most of the people here, so thank you. In fact, it looks like most of you have adjusted to the earlier time, so I appreciate it. All right, big idea. This is kind of the answer to the initial question. If there's something that you can really focus on putting your energy into transforming, what is that right now? What can you be the best alchemist with at this moment in time? We have the Knight of Swords coming through for this. Let's go ahead and just look at the card upright. So the main message for today, if you take one card away, imagining I did a one card pull on the energy alchemy, it would be the Knight of Swords. Now is the time to act. As you start to take this sort of action and make a decision, then momentum starts to follow. The sort of sleepy energy of the Four of Swords goes away the minute you step out the door. Some of you may actually benefit from making a decision right now to exercise, to partner up with someone, to kind of just get moving. So it's sort of like putting your first foot out of bed in the morning and then following with the other one and then just kind of moving, hopping in the shower. Each step you take wakes you up more and more. As I take a walk with my now snoozing dog in the background, that also wakes me up. So everything you do is another step towards that awakening. So just take some action today. And maybe that's Googling, researching, emailing, texting some people, knowing that these are the seeds that will grow. And don't put all your eggs in one basket. Reach out to a few people if you need to, okay? All right. So that is everything in a nutshell. We have one more important piece, which is going to be the meditation, which we'll talk about. A couple of quick notes, which I know Dakota's helped remind you of this, but if you enjoyed what you saw here, please hit like and subscribe. Subscribing is really key because, as you know, the times are a little bit off for a bit, and they may be for another month or two until I can move out. Then they'll move back. So subscribe and hit that bell to make sure that you know when my schedule changes or when I do a special video. I think I'm going to start to do a Q&A every 25,000 subscribers because it takes forever to get to 100,000. So I thought, let's just do it a little bit more frequently. That should happen about once a year for me. Or more if you guys make it. But then that way I have something cool coming up. So keep an eye out for that. And that's something that I would announce on my main channel. So more to come when that happens. Follow me on social media. Like I said, occasionally I do shorter pulls on those platforms. And I think I'll probably keep them there. Keep the longer form stuff here. If you like those single card pulls or even the short that I did, make sure that you tell me. And then if you'd like to show some support right now, you can do it with a super sticker, super chat, or later you can hit the thanks button on replay. And my schedule's on my website. I'll make sure that I put upcoming videos for this week. We're going to be looking at Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, I believe. Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces for the upcoming week. So you can see that schedule on my website right there with live. Okay, let's meditate. We're going to do a truncated meditation, but a meditation nonetheless. we have a lot of stars coming through, Starfish and Sirius. So let's work with that energy of the star, and I'll choose the instrument so that we don't waste a lot of time on that. So just close your eyes in this moment. Before you do that, by the way, write down your question if you have one for me so you don't forget it, and I'll be back with you in about 1.5 minutes and I'll answer that question. So closing your eyes, imagine that the sun just set on the horizon, that you can still see a thin ring of light surrounding the Earth as it starts to sink beyond the visible range for us, and you start to see the stars coming through the canopy of darkness above you. One of those stars shines brighter than the rest. So much so that it feels like it's like you're in some sort of an alien landscape because the star is as big as the moon. This brilliant, bright star in the sky. And as it reaches out with rays of light, it actually lifts you up a little bit, almost like this tractor beam that's pulling you toward it. And you realize it's your higher self. Your body's still on the planet, but your energetic self is being pulled into the light and into the body of this luminous star that's above you. It's so close now you feel you could touch it. Again, this is meditation, so you can kind of bend the rules here a bit. So go ahead and reach out and touch the star, and in this moment, allow yourself to be transmitted through the frequency of light into the center of that luminous star. And maybe we can imagine that it is this bright, bluish white light coming through with such intensity and such heat that really anything that has been in your life that feels like it is a block, that it is some sort of a mental fog, it is completely obliterated by this light. Also, any cords that were holding you down or connecting you to something that wasn't a high frequency, the starlight just melts them away. For the first time, maybe in years, maybe in your entire life, you feel whole, you feel complete, you feel like you've been charged to 100%. In this moment, I just want you to allow for your heart to radiate with this light and feel like it reaches in every direction, every dimension, past, present, and future. And just bliss out for a moment in that sense of completeness. You can set any intention that you would like right now, knowing that with this higher light and higher self, there's a high likeliness that it's going to be heard. I'm going to play the crystal pyramid for a moment, then we'll look at your final card, and then we'll wrap up. Allow this light and this strength and this vision to solidify in your physical being as well. Maybe even bringing the energy of the star into your heart space so that it can shine and it can lead the path whenever you need it, any day of your life. Each and every day of your life, I should say. Take a few deep breaths. Come back into your body. Rub your hands together. Hold them up to the sky for a second and really receive all of that energy, and then put the energy back into the heart space, holding that intention that you set that you are going to be ready to receive love and abundance in the highest forms, and to pay attention. We saw the Three of Wands coming through. It's happening now. Look at it in all the different shapes and forms that it might take. Go ahead and open your eyes now, and let's go ahead and take a look at your final card. For the final card, ask the mental question that you have of me. Don't type it out yet in chat. And let me just go ahead, shuffle the cards, and see what wants to come through for you. A lot to love, and it's a great card here. So Two of Cups would definitely be an affirmative yes, if you're looking for a yes, no. It's also a confirmation that people play an important role in the realization of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Yes, if love is what your question was, if you're looking to connect with someone or call love into your life. So we see love, we see celebration, we see partnership coming through here. We had the Four of Wands and we had the Lovers as well. So this is partnership, this is friendship, partnership, and really having one another's back. This is also higher love. So yeah, this is a great time. If you felt blocked in love and that was one of your questions, you can receive. If you've been blocked in receiving some sort of validation or support that you need, this is also confirmation that that isn't going to happen forever. In fact, we also had a success card here, which is external love. It's a different kind of love. It's more like popularity, but you got all the different types of love here. Six of Cups is missing here, but it came up earlier. So that's a lot of love, my friends. So that is probably one of, if we were to pick a third key here, it would be love yourself, love your path. Love is the key. It always is. So connect to that energy of love. And if anybody tries to put conditions on it or deny it, that is the blinking red light. That is the red flag. That is what you have to kind of work against. Okay? Or walk away. You don't want to work against that. Just don't engage with it at all. All right, that, my friends, is everybody. Thank you so much for your patience today and for being a part of today's reading. Thank you especially to Dakota for sticking around for an extra 20 minutes. I think the messages were worth sticking around, so thank you. Before we wrap up, I'd like to give some gratitude to everybody. I'd like to start off with all of the longtime members. As I look at my monitor here, I see a bunch of green names there. Each and every one of you, thank you so much for being a support and a long-time sort of part of this community. I appreciate it. And if you're brand new, welcome. I think you'll have some fun here if you stick around. And now just for everybody who gave back today, I'd like to say thanks. So give me a moment to pull up the tab here. We're going to start with new members, anyone that joined in or rejoined in the last day. Looks like we have VTA or VT Abigail. Thank you so much. Brand spanking new member. So thank you. Hande, thank you as well for rejoining after 2 months. Teresa Cohen, brand new member. Cass Darrow, thank you, brand new member as well. Cindy Chen, new member. Stacy Farrow, new member as well. Amber Bridewell rejoining after 6 months. And that's everyone. The rest of the names I remember from Friday. So there we go. Now let's just say thanks to anybody that gave back with a super sticker or super chat, and then we'll wrap up for today. All right, so let me look at the beginning here. Okay, so kicking things off today, Andre, I appreciate that. Thank you also for showing up so often and being a member. I appreciate all of that. Aaron H., Shay Saberi, I think it would be. Thank you. Arizo, I'm not going to try to say the last name, but I'll just say thank you. Vanessa, thank you. Michelle, Suzanne, Katie, Diane, Allison, Lucy, I'm just going to go with first name so we can get through this. Conscious Candace, thank you. Kathy, and thank you for the last couple. I know that they were both 50, so thank you very much. Tahoe, Raquel, Artemis, Adrian, Sonette, Tom, Hassan, Eva or Ava, Annabelle, let's see, Christine, KC, Kakli, Robin, Anna or Anna, Rosie, Ashley, Monique, Colleen, Manal, Janine, Donna, Sue, thank you again for the 50 there, Mermaid, Leah, Yvette Sanchez, let's see, Jalissa, Ashley, Mermaid, Mermaid Crystal, Dark Star Alchemy, Denise, and Jeannie. Again, just abbreviating a bit since we're running over and saying first names only. But I do see everybody. Thank you so much. Great show out today, and I appreciate you sticking around for the full reading. A reminder, like I said, I'll be back on Monday, Thursday, and Friday as always, and we'll be wrapping up the zodiac this week again with Cap, Aquarius, and Pisces, I believe. Let me double check my schedule because I said the wrong signs earlier, so I want to make sure. And then we have a bonus reading this month, which will probably take place the following week. So let me just validate my schedule here. Yes, I was right. So Monday's Capricorn, Aquarius is Thursday, Pisces is Friday. We have another collective a week from today, and then a bonus reading on Monday. So we'll see what's going on at that point, and I'll see if I want to do something special for the Monday one. So that is it, everyone. Have a great day. Lots of love and light, and I appreciate you. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye-bye.